Measuring at just 8.1 millimeters, the Galaxy S5 is thicker than the 4-inch iPhone 5s and much larger, heavier and cumbersome to use with one hand, as it houses a 5.1-inch display. Its plastic build introduces a new perforated back refrain, which comes in 4 colors, including a golden version. Apple's handset also has a gold-colored variant, but the iPhone is crafted in a very different way, with premium metal and glass materials for the chassis. If you don't mind the polycarbonate casing of the S5, however, it will offer you not only a bigger screen, but also IP67 certification, letting you dunk it in 3 feet of water, that's up to 1 meter, for half an hour. You can still remove the back cover though, in the best of Samsung's traditions, which gives you easy access to swap the battery or add memory with a microSD card, possibilities that the iPhone 5s doesn't offer. Apple shook the mobile industry with a unique Touch ID sensor embedded in the home key, which is the first fingerprint sensor on a mobile device that's done right. Samsung was apparently in a jiffy to catch up and integrated a swipe finger scanner in the S5's home key in its turn. The two sensors work in quite a different manner. Not only do the iPhone's dimensions make Touch ID way easier to use with one hand, but it is also much more sensitive than what Samsung offers. Upon initial setup, Apple's creation takes a snapshot of your fingerprint in all possible positions, so you can unlock the phone with the slightest touch no matter how crooked your digit lands. The fingerprint scanner on the S5 stays true to its title, however, requiring you to swipe directly over it to work, which means that you always have to hold the phone with the other hand. Imagine having to put down your bags of groceries each time you need to check something on your phone. You'll quickly prefer to ditch the print sensing altogether, except for things like PayPal authorizations. Thus, Samsung made a way more cumbersome to use fingerprint sensor, but it can now list one in the spec sheet too, mission accomplished. A unique new feature of the S5, however, is the heart rate sensor on the back next to the LED flash. It is tightly integrated with Samsung's S Health app and requires you to press your finger against it for a few seconds before it takes an optical pulse reading. Some might dismiss this as a gimmick for the sake of inserting something new, but for athletes or older users it might present a convenient way to check their pulse without manually calculating their beat counts. The S5 has a 5.1-inch Full HD Super AMOLED screen, while the 4-inch IPS LCD panel on the iPhone has less pixel density. You won't be able to notice the individual pixels on both displays from a normal viewing distance, but if you examine the screens closely, the S5 panel would come out sharper. Apple has proven many times that its phone display panels flaunt almost perfect standard RGB gamut color representation, whereas the AMOLED panels exhibit somewhat saturated, even gaudy colors. The same goes here with the latest S5 and iPhone 5s. By default, the color temperature of the Galaxy S5 screen is 8000 kelvins, resulting in very bluish cold image. The professional profile makes things better with temperatures of 7200 kelvins, almost on par with the iPhone's situation. However, the S5 screen still has that cold feel, as its screen emphasizes green and blue. We should note that although the AMOLED screens of Samsung flagships are not very color accurate, most people like them for that wow of saturated look. The Galaxy S5 has deeper black levels and lower minimum brightness of just 2 nits, which makes it a tad gentler on your eyes in very dark environments. Samsung says this is the brightest AMOLED screen it has produced to date, capable of reaching 500 nits and more of peak brightness, in line with what the iPhone 5s is able to churn out to. Both displays seem on par in outdoor and indoor visibility, as a simple sunlight test outside confirmed for us too. The phone's panels sport great viewing angles, both vertically and horizontally. With the Galaxy S5, Samsung toned down its customized TouchWiz experience layered on top of Android KitKat when compared to the previous versions. We don't have as many S-branded apps, and the menu sections and icons have received a flatter, simpler look. It doesn't seem very uniform this way, as the home screens and widgets have remained the same, yet it is very functional. There are numerous new features in that version, like Private Mode and Kit Corner, aimed to make your multi-user life with the handset easier. We can also count on Samsung's multi-window mode that divides the 5.1-inch display in 2 resizable sections that can run 2 apps independent of each other at once, aiding your multitasking needs. The iPhone runs iOS 7.1, which exhibits flat, colorful icons and a handy drop-down notification bar, which is inhabited by your most pertinent new info. We also get a pull-up command center, rich in connectivity toggles and a screen brightness slider. Apple's approach doesn't bet on a widget system and doesn't offer any split-screen multitasking or floating apps, for that matter. You can go back and forth between the apps you have open at the moment, which is as close to multitasking as you can get on an iPhone. Apple provides its Siri voice control assistant, which is countered with Google Voice Search on the S5 and Samsung's S Voice. The two offer similar functionality for those who are bent on using their vocal cords to manage their handset. The iPhone 5S has the excellent Passbook application, which aggregates your digital coupons, airline and train tickets, movie passes, and rewards and gift cards, while Google's Android has yet to reply to iOS on this feature. Samsung Galaxy S5 comes with a 2.5 GHz quad-core Snapdragon 801 chipset with LTE support paired with 2 GB of RAM. It offers much improved 3D graphics and image processing compared to the Snapdragon 800 of yesteryear. Apple offers a 64-bit A7 processing chip in its handset and 1 GB of RAM. Both processors are so fast that there's barely any app out there, including heavy 3D games, that would make them break a sweat. The 5S has 16 GB of internal memories from the box, just as the S5, which however carries a microSD card slot for more. We can attest for stellar browsing experience on both devices, with fast and smooth scrolling, panning around and zooming in and out. The reading mode in Safari on the iPhone 5S strips web pages of distracting content like pics and ads and presents you the article in a clear text format for easier reading. It doesn't support Adobe Flash though, which can be sideloaded on the default S5 browser for those situations you might need it. Surfing the web on the larger display of Samsung's phone is naturally more enjoyable too, due to the sheer screen size advantage. The handsets have multi-band LTE and 3G radios, depending on the area they're sold in, as well as a suite of other connectivity options, such as Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.0, assisted GPS, and DLNA streaming. The Galaxy S5 adds NFC to the mix too. Samsung's flagship flaunts a download booster mode, which combines Wi-Fi and cellular data for quicker connections, the curse of carriers. It also offers an infrared port at the top, which is used to command home electronics like TVs, stereos, and even air conditioning units of various brands. The iPhone 5S gallery, as well as the one on the Galaxy S5, offer grid thumbnail view of your photos and videos, with editing options in the interface. Samsung sports a split-screen navigation with folders on the left and the content on the right, which is more convenient. The music players also suggest categorization options by artist albums or playlists, but the sound and equalizer effects on the S5 are built into the player's interface itself, while on the 5S you have to go to the general setting app to change them. Video playback on the large display of the Galaxy S5 is a very enjoyable experience, especially considering that the stock player runs everything you throw at it, save for DivX files, while on the iPhone 5S you have to convert some popular formats before they can be played back. The Galaxy S5 packs a new 60-megapixel camera that, thanks to a new face detection autofocus, brags one of the fastest focusing times in a smartphone camera at 0.3 seconds. It has 1.1 micron pixels, whereas the iPhone 5S houses an 8-megapixel shooter with larger 1.5 micron pixels. The iPhone 5S autofocus times have been measured to be between half a second and a second, depending on the light situation, which is slower than the S5 on paper, but in reality it feels very fast too. The Galaxy S5 camera app offers an abundance of shooting modes, including a new selective focus camera option that will capture different focus settings, leading to a blurred out background and more artsy photos. It also has a real-time HDR mode that delivers instant results both for stills and for video. The iPhone 5S flaunts a very simple, easy-to-use camera app. It focuses only on the main options such as panorama and the now automatic HDR capture, but does them extremely fast and with very good quality. The iPhone 5S has consistently delivered great results in our camera comparisons, but let's see how it fares against the new technology in the S5. Well, pretty good, at least in terms of color representation, which is more realistic and true to life than the slightly overblown colors that come out of the Galaxy S5. However, the colors of the S5's photos are still pretty correct and pleasant to look at, even making the competition look washed out in comparison. Samsung's phone captures more detail, akin to its 16-megapixel camera resolution. Its photos look sharper and more defined, but there's way more noise creeping up in the scene, especially visible when you zoom onto the pieces of sky in the frame, for instance, or indoors. Both handsets expose most of the scenes correctly, and there aren't any glaring white balance issues. Samsung's phone can record 4K video at 30 frames per second as well as 1080p video at 60. The iPhone 5S makes do with 1080p video, which however is more than adequate for any purpose. The Galaxy S5 video is fluid with very steady autofocus and quick exposure adjustments while panning around. Footage from Samsung's phone looks more vivid thanks to the oversaturated colors, but less true to life than what the iPhone 5S is able to